It is an overcast day in Seattle, but then again, aren't they all? Welcome to SeaTac here, and we are going to be flying in the mighty, magical Zibo-modified 3.3 version, God, I don't know, version 3.30K hotfix M of this airplane, which seems to finally, at least for me, work. We are in an American Airlines Astrojet livery, which is circa 1966, right before they changed to what would become the longest-lived livery, I think, in airline history, which was the classic American Airlines livery, which we're all familiar with, which was then replaced by the uber shitty American Airlines livery. I just want to give you a comparison here, because this is just, this steams my beans. I mean, from 1966 until just a few years ago, this was the livery. The typeface Helvetica, the V of the American Eagle wings matching the V right here, the angles then complementing each other in the opposite direction, the American Airlines with no space in between them, offset by color change, the beautiful red, white, and blue cut line right here, and it was replaced by a shark's tooth, a bird's claw, a beak, and turquoise. So now the American flag is red, white, and Miami Dolphins turquoise. There is a word for it, and that word is bullshit. The tail is not horrible. If they were to take this tail and put it on this plane, you might have something. But this lasted for more than 40 years. It was designed by a guy named Massimo Vignelli, who also designed the 1970s New York subway map, which some people adore and some people hate. But just to give you some idea before we get going, this is just, I mean, this is why. I mean, this was designed by some sort of BS consulting firm. This was designed by an artist, by an immigrant to this country, by a guy who loved this country enough to pay it lasting tribute, the kind of tribute that lasted for decades, and they could have continued with this livery for another 50 years and it would have been just fine, because this looks good and this looks like poo. I mean, it's got no paint line here to delineate the windows. It's got just dropped over here like blah, with the windows running right through it. There's nothing about it that is right, whereas everything on this looks almost inevitable. So anyway, this is Massimo Vignelli. Just before we get started here, I want you to see him talking about designing Americans' look. And this is from the film Helvetica, which is an entire documentary about the typeface Helvetica, and by a guy named Gary Hustwit, and it's just an amazing documentary. He did two others, one on sort of designing objects we use in our lives, and the other on something else, and well, just take a look.
Now, should I talk? Should I not talk? You want to say something? Say something, say nothing.
Life of a designer is a life of fight. Fight against the ugliness. Just like a doctor fights against disease. For us, visual disease is what we have around, and what we try to do is to cure it somehow, with design. Good typographer always had sensitivity about the distance between letters. We think typography is black and white. Typography is really white. You know, it's not even black. It is the space between the blacks that really makes it. In a sense, it's like music. It's not the notes. It's the space you put between the notes that makes the music. For instance, we designed the corporate identity for American Airlines. This is done in 1966, and the novelty at the time was the fact of making one word instead of two American Airlines, by making American Airlines all one word, half red and half blue, just separated by the color. And what could be more American than red and blue? You know, so it's perfect. It's the only airline in the last 40 years that has not changed their identity. All the airlines come and go and they change it. American Airlines still the same, and there's no need to change. And how they can improve it? They got the best already, you know. American Airlines in Helvetica. We always had the tendency to use very few typefaces.
So that's Massimo Vignelli, and that's American Airlines, and this is some of the other stuff he's done, and it's magnificent work. And it kind of took a lot to improve on this, which is kind of cool. This is jet age stuff. It's like whiz, bang, it's as fast as a bolt of lightning, you know. And this is a little loose and a little sloppy, but it kind of looks good, it looks clean, and this looks great. I mean, I remember seeing this on the hangars at LaGuardia, which used to be American Airlines corporate offices before they moved down to Dallas-Fort Worth. And, you know, I grew up on it. My first flight was on American. From, let's see, Louisville to LaGuardia, as a matter of fact, because I was born in Louisville. And I flew back and forth as a baby and a toddler on American. So that was my formative experience. Anyway, so we're in American for that reason, and we're going to go to San Francisco. Ordinarily, this route would be flown by Alaska on a code share, but screw it. And in the meantime, we've done some flight planning. I use SimBrief. I'm just starting to use that, and it really generates pretty authentic flight plans, and I've generated two of them actually. Their standard format is Lido, which is a consortium of airlines with Lufthansa as one of them, and they do plates and charts and things too, and it's a pretty standard format for a lot of airlines. The other format is American, and the reason why I'm doing it in American is because my buddy Les worked there for 34 years, just retired this summer, and I wanted to generate this thing in American format because in case I start you know, doing this a lot, and I want to get a real pilot's advice on it, I might as well use it in the format that he uses on a day-to-day basis, or he used on a day-to-day basis. Right now he's skiing on a day-to-day basis and building a home in Florida on a day-to-day basis, but you know, nonetheless. So I've got one in Lido and one in American format, and that's mainly because the Lido one is just a little bit more legible when it comes to this, but it's more or less the same thing. So our fuel here is going to be 18,432. So we're going to have plenty of fuel left over when we get there in case we want to continue this flight. This is how much we're going to burn. And this is the minimum takeoff fuel, allowing for taxiing and other stuff like that. Seattle, San Francisco, alternate is Sacramento. This is our flight route right here, out on the Harib 6 to Fepit, to the mighty Q3 airway, off of it at Found, direct Malbec, and then the Bodega 3 arrival into San Francisco. And I'm going to have to ask him about some of this stuff because some of this is cryptic here, but for instance, this is the ISA deviation or temperature deviation, it looks like this is. This is the ground speed and true airspeed at different waypoints. That's understandable. This is the latitude, longitude of the waypoint. This is the wind at the given waypoint. So this is minus 11, so it's 11 knot headwind. This is P positive plus 24 knot tailwind, and if you look here, this all looks like the right thing. So at 330 at 68, but the direction we're turned, the tailwind component is only 24. Ah, that is it. WCP, wind component. This is 340 at 89 knots, and that's 85 knot tailwind. So we're going to be enjoying a tailwind most of the way down. Apart from that, fuel and weights here, you can see our reserves, our flight time. So we've got 15 minutes extra reserves, 45 of standard reserves, added fuel for taxi, 10 minutes worth if we were flying. And you can see that to get to our alternate is only going to take this much. Takeoff fuel, assuming that we taxi a reasonable length, is going to be this much, and the total is that much. And the payload here is 39.9. It does not break out passengers and freight, but we're going to be carrying 10,000 pounds of freight, and because this is obviously a fake plane, and I am a fake pilot, the only possible cargo, it's sort of like cartoons. Toons have certain rules. You can't have 5 fingers, you gotta have 4. You gotta have a middle name. Every tune has a name. You can't kill a tune except by dropping a piano or a safe on it. Well, you know, if you drop a safe or an anvil on it, all they end up is flattened and they can peel themselves off the sidewalk. So, and you know what? The more I think about it, if you drop a piano on a tune, then all that happens is they stand up, they see stars, and there are piano keys where their teeth used to be. So no, that doesn't work either. But there are rules, and one of the rules about fake flying is that the only cargo we are allowed to carry is whoopee cushions and plastic doggy duty. And of course the whoopee cushions are lighter, but they take up more space. So we've got sort of a mix of both of them today, and we'll just see how we get on with that. In the meantime, this airplane is in what's called a turnaround state. It is not cold and dark, because there's no sense in it, because the way you'd get an airplane at the gate if you were really flying it would not be cold and dark for the most part. We'll just do a quick safety test. Test our warnings. They all work. Make sure we've got 3 here. We've got oxygen pressure there. We've got 3 there. We've got air coming out of our masks, and we do. And the first officer does too, so she's not going to die. Our engine bleeds and APU bleeds are off. We're on ground power at the moment. We'll just flow our way down here. Yaw damper is on. These are in their default positions. Our crossfeed light lights up and unlights. Just adjust all of our lights here on the panel just a little bit. Let's see, seatbelt signs are on. Okay, that is good. APU is off. Position lights are on. Probes heats are off. Window heats can be on, but we're not going to turn them on yet. There's no need. Everything else is pretty kosher. And all is good. I'm not going to do things like fire tests and lights tests and things like that. What I will do is we'll give ourselves a squawk code. And I'm not going to do cargo fire tests and all the rest of that. We will get our ATIS, which is I think 1180 here at SeaTac. Let's find out. I bet it is.
Seattle Tacoma INTL information Charlie. 2000 Zulu weather. Wind 030 at 5, visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 9600 broken, temperature 14, dew point -4. Altimeter 2992. Arriving runways 34 right, 34 center, 34 left, departing runways 34 right, 34 center, 34 left. Advise on initial contact you have Charlie.
Okay, Charlie it is, and altimeters are standard. Wow. Okay, they're set, and they're set. In that case, we can load some fuel and get going. So we'll put, our payload is going to be, what did we say, 29,000 or 39,000? 39.9, so okay, and our fuel is going to be 18.4. Now it says our zero fuel weight 131 and our total is 149. Let's see. Now it says our release weight is 150, which means that American Airlines is 737-800 is porkier than this to the tune of about let's see, takeoff weight 1496, that's about 1,000 pounds heavier, but we're going to ignore that. That's down to different in-flight entertainment systems, different seats, different seating configurations, and different galley configurations, and we're just going to go with what we got here. What I will do is get some lights on here, just a little bit here, a little bit more there, and just a touch here. Alright, that is cool. Let's see how that looks. We'll stop loading passengers. The doors don't seem to work, but that's probably me using it wrong. And in the meantime, let's get our route in and our weights in and everything else like that going. So we'll first verify our nav data is current. It is. This is the correct airplane. That is the correct power. And that's all good. We are at KSEA. And we're at gate C17. And our position, according to the GPS, is 26.8 by 18.2. And looks like we're at 26.8 by 18.2. So that's all good. All right. Coming from there, and we're going to Kilo Sierra Foxtrot Oscar. And we are American Airlines 125. And there we go. We're going to be launching off of, let's do 34 right. That'll give us the shortest taxi and the longest runway. This airplane can be a little porky. Okay, and we'll do perf init, And let's see, we're going to be going at flight level 350. We'll be using a cost index of 85 because we want to haul a little freight, so to speak. And let's see. Our payload, 39.9, and our fuel is 18.4. So let's see, put 18.4 in there. Oh, wait, hold on. Put 18.4 in there, and it says our zero fuel weight is that, and our gross weight is that. And do 5,000 for our reserves. Our now we won't put in average wind, but we will do average deviation. So our ISA deviation is, for some reason you can't put in Celsius here, so I'll put in 14 Fahrenheit, which should get us 8, and it does. And our wind, to get us a more accurate climb, let's do this instead. Let's do top of climb wind, which is going to be 340 at 8.9. That is sporty. 089. In we go. And N1 limit. What are we, about 16 degrees outside? We're 14 degrees outside. Now here you do put in a slash. All right, we will do a standard takeoff power, standard climb, and no derates, because why the hell should we? We'll do flaps 15 because we're a little on the chunky side. And there's our C of G, 3.83. We'll accept those. Now, it's doing some funny things in the Zibo with the auto throttle, and I'm told one of the workarounds is to turn off the QRH. So that's fine. We'll turn off the QRH. Just stick with that. Our gross weight more or less tallies. That's all good. And actually, let's put in our runway. Can we put in a runway here? Doesn't matter. Okay. So we will go to our routing. And 3-4 right, it knows that. We want the Harib 6. We want to take it to Fepit. And then from Fepit, I believe, we will go to the Q3, right? Let's see. Or let's see. Fepit. Fepit Q3 to found. So in Boeing CDU talk, you put the via here and the direct to or the exit point here. So we're going via the Q3. And then we'll do, what did we say, found? I think we said found. Yep, found and then Malbec. Okay, so in goes found. And that goes on this side, and then direct to Malbec, so that's going to go on this side too. So M, L, B, E, C, pardon me. And then the Bodega 3. So we'll go to arrivals, departures, choose arrival. We'll do the Bodega 3, Malbec transition, and we will land on 28 right with the Archie entry point. Now, go to our legs page, and we will now review this with our first officer. And the way we'll review that is we will flip our display right here using this gizmo right here. We'll flip it to plan and watch what happens down there. Look down there. That changes to step, and we will now step through our flight plan together with the first officer. Now you notice it's dotted, it's not magenta because we haven't executed it. So we'll step, and we'll have our flight plan in our hand, and we'll check these waypoints along the airway here. Okay, this is our bodega departure right there, and we'll get to Harab, and now there's Fepid, and Fepid is the beginning of the airway, and so that's going to be Fepid, then top of climb, then Famic, Firefly, Finer, and then Bodega. So we'll look here, step, Famic, step, Firefly, step, Finer. Found is the exit for the airway. There's Malbec, and here are the waypoints on the arrival. That's actually the hold for the missed approach. Okay, and there we go. There's Archie, Xylid, Gur, Dumba, Seepin, Axmil's our final approach fix. And there we go, and here is our missed approach. It's a hold at VICU, and so that is verified. So what we'll do first is we'll go back to here, and we will hit execute and watch what happens to the dotted line. It turns magenta, and just step through it here and see if we can find our top of climb and top of descent. There's our top of descent. All right, there we are. So we'll quickly flip back into map mode, and we'll verify we're good, and we are good. Now we will program our MCP. Now the way we do that is we'll quickly go back to our takeoff performance page. This is why we don't have a top of climb yet. We didn't execute this, and now we have. And let me get everything there all set. All right, so our V2 is 145. We'll drop that in. We'll turn on our flight director, make sure that this is lit up on the side we're flying from. And the way you change sides is you just, depends on the order you turn them on. Whichever gets turned on first gets priority. So we'll turn that off, turn this on. We'll set runway heading here. And what is it, 344, I think. Get rid of this, get rid of that abomination. Ooh, hideous. Can't even look at it. Cannot even watch. All right, so come back here, get up a little airport diagram. And 344 is our runway heading, and we're sitting on the north ramp, so we'll taxi along the ramp to Bravo and get on 34 right. So 344 is runway heading. That goes in right here. That'll also remind us we're on the right runway. We will initially depart in heading select. We've been given an initial altitude of 9,000 feet. Expect 350 10 minutes after departure. We'll verify that all our fuel is on board in the correct amount, and it is. And so what we can do now is we'll give the first officer legs right here, and trim is 383, so we'll plug that in there. Okay. We've given ourselves a squawk code there. Verify that our rudder trim is trimmy, and it is. We'll shut the door here. Oh no. I thought the computer was going to crash because it's been behaving funny. But let's just shut the door. And we will never turn back that way again. Oh, it's acting funky. Oh, this could get ugly real quick. All right, well, what we'll do is let's try and get flying before it all goes to shit. Matter of fact, what I am going to do right now is I'm going to save this video and I'm going to pick it up in 1 second. So we'll just have at least 2 pieces of the flight instead of 1, and that way, in case the computer crashes, won't have to redo the entire flight, much as I'd love to. Okay, I'm back, and now what we can do is we can just again make sure we're set up to go here. Okay, that's all good. Probe heats are off. These pumps are on so that they're pumping hydraulic fluid even without the engines turning, so that when the first officer does her walk around, if there are any leaks, they will leak. It is designed to make things leak. All right, what we'll do is we'll start up the APU here. Low oil pressure light will come on. This should shoot up in 1 second. There, I can hold it down. There we go. All right, we'll get a start in a few seconds. We'll get APU generator available, and we'll switch over to that. And then in another minute, we'll turn on the bleeds. You want to wait about a minute, I think, so that you don't get smoke or any funny fuel smells in the cabin. I think that's the reason why, but somebody will have to tell me. These lights apparently work, but I'm deeply indifferent. Only because certain things when you're flying simulated just don't really matter. We'll turn on our anti-collision lights here, and get that rotating beacon rotating. Okay, see there, that lights up. And just so you can see, now if we turn our meter here, that's ground power, that's voltage, and that is frequency. If we turn this to APU gens, now we've got voltage. So I'm told you wouldn't ordinarily use this in flight, but it's there if you need it. And so there we go. We'll put that online, turn off our ground power and get rid of the GPU. And we will get ready to push. And it builds the menu right into here, so we'll plan. We'll come out. We don't want to go there. We want to go, hang on. Let's see, how do I move this thing around? click and drag, there we go. We want to come out right about there and point ourselves right about like so, if I'm not mistaken. Can we zoom out on this? Yes, we can, good. Because I have no idea where I'm going here. All right, yeah, that'll be a good place to put us. Just sort of getting everybody's way here. Nice long push. Okay, so out we come to there.
Round to cockpit, plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
You betcha. All right, we've got our flight plan in. We got our lights lit up. We got our chimes that chime in. We can turn on our APU bleeds. Packs can stay off. We're just looking at duct pressure now because we need duct pressure to start. We need to get our ducts in a row, as it were. And I believe we can go pushing.
Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
Hot diggity. And it's going to drive right through all these baggage cars here. Well, maybe it'll go around. Well, it'll go through a building. Magnificent. Yeah, it's going to go through everything. All right. It's going to take out that pillar. It's going to knock over that guy. Oh, my goodness. All right. I don't like that lag, and we better remove these chocks. All right, let's see.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
All right, and when it connects, actually, you'll see it animate and hoist the airplane off of the ground, because this is one of those push things that sort of surrounds the nose gear and then lifts the whole fucker right up. A guy named Todorico, or I think it's Sergei Kiselkov. I'm not sure if that's the last name. I think so, as I remember it. Designed this, and it's free and it's great. He's also designing a for-pay TBM 900, which is amazing.
So connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
All right.
Starting tow, and you may start engines.
Hot damn. All right, so we're going to start with the left igniter, and we'll start with engine number 2. Flip that to ground. We're going to monitor that right there, and we're also going to monitor temps up here once we introduce fuel. So we're going to wait for this to come up to 15 to 25, because if you introduce fuel too soon, you can get a hot start, because fuel cools the engine to some degree. Okay, up we go, and now we're looking at temperatures here, and what the hell's going on? All right. All right, well, I probably set that up wrong, but hey. Not sure what's up with that. I hope it's going to back us up. Not sure what it's doing, but that's okay. We're not going to hurt anything. All right, so our temps here are stabilized, and we've got a good start on 2. So we'll start 1. And just repeat the process. Good. Now I can keep that and that in view. All right, there we are. And just checking the temps there. And if it spikes up here and stays up there, we grab this and we slam it shut. Nope, got a nice clean start. All right, where is it pushing us? I don't even like to think about this. Where the hell are we going? All right, well, it is getting us out of the alleyway correctly, but it just chose a funny way to do it. Very strange. It was supposed to just take us out like this, and instead it just dragged us this way and pushed us back out. I probably did something wrong. Anyway, the engines are turning, or turning, but being a child of Louisville, Kentucky, I can say turnin' if I want. All right, there we go. You know, I wonder if my sounds are just a little bit on the quiet side here. So let me just, oh boy. I don't want to screw anything up too badly, but these little lags are really scary. I bet I know what's going on. This is Dravetsky's.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Will do. I will bet you
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
that I'm running low on VRAM, because it's not hard to do in this place. All right, taxi lights can come on. We can set our auto brakes to rejected takeoff. We can verify our initial altitude is set, which is right there, and V2 is set right there and right there. That's good. And in the meantime, we'll set...
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal will be on the right. We'll see you next time and have a great flight.
Oh, will I get a hand signal? Let's see. All right. We'll verify that takeoff thrust is armed, and that is the N1 target, and we took note of that when we set up the conditions down in the CDU. And I think we are pretty much good to go. I should turn on the weather radar. Let's see. So let's see. Love to remember how to do it, but I don't. But we will now squawk so they can see us here on the ground using their ground surveillance radar. And we will test our flight controls real quick. Okay, rudder, full aft, full forward, full right, centered, full left, centered, little twitchy, but there you have it. And I think we are good to go. So, brakes come off. Put in a sensible little gob of power there. And I do not think my rudder, no, it is working. Okay, good. My tiller is tillering. No, it's not. Let me just very quickly fix that. Set the parking brakes here. And this seems to get screwy whenever I start up the plane. Let's see. Hardware config, there we go. Yaw. Okay, toe brakes, differential, that's all good. Display, track, up, no rings. Alright, that's all fine. Hide, yoke, radio, inches, pounds, turnaround state. Okay, that's all cool. Must have been just the other thing that didn't do its bit. So now let's get going. So we're going to be taxiing out first along the ramp and then down Bravo to 34 right. We'll taxi at a somewhat sane speed. Verify that our brakes and flaps are set. They are. I've got brake temps here now. I've got the system page up. That's so I don't accidentally overheat my brakes. It's not a big risk in this airplane, but on some bigger and heavier airplanes, you can, if you have a long taxi and you stand on the brakes and you're a little bit loaded up, you can overheat your brakes, and then they're not much good on departure. So things to avoid. We seem to have some double lines here on our taxiways, but not sure why that is. A little sporty through that turn there. Supposed to be no more than 10 knots on a turn. I was at 15. And we should know better because we're not southwest, are we? Of course we're not. And actually, I think I've got a little too much nose-up trim. I do. I can't wait to get out of Seattle because look at that. We're getting scenery hitches and stutters. Ooh, don't like that. All right. I've got to set this up so it's not quite as crazy heavy burden on my VRAM. It would be nice if the new 2080s had 16 gigs of VRAM instead of 11, because X-Plane is notorious for not necessarily being a huge burden on GPUs, but all the textures, especially if you run ortho and high quality textures, you'll run out of VRAM in big cities. And then it turns into a stuttering mess. But this is weirder, more intermittent stuff, like the antivirus is going or something. Okay, so here's Bravo. Let's just test our brakes. They work. Yeah, you see that stuttering? I don't like that. As it's loading up different shit. And as we turn to the north, it's going to be even worse because it's going to be loading in the city of Seattle. So obviously I gotta tinker with this. But it is beautiful scenery. There's no doubt about that. And I'll bet you I'm getting these double lines. It's the same reason I'm getting some aircraft one on top of the other. We're probably getting two sets of airports loaded here. It has to do with scenery load order, but I'm not going to mess with it now. All right, we'll hold short at the wigwag lights. And we'll call tower. And again, we'll be departing in heading mode, and you can see that the runway is that way, and our heading is that way. That's a good indication we're going to the right runway. And anyway, let's get our landing lights on. Get our strobes on and logo light on. Okay, we're all good. We'll turn these to continuous. We'll check that our bleeds are on, and we'll see that they're not. And we'll also kill the APU. Oh boy, oh, you know what I did? Fuck. Hang on. I bollocksed the aircraft. Let's see if I recovered quickly enough. I think I did, just barely. 145, 9,000, heading, select flight director. What I did there is, it pays to explain this because this is a mistake a lot of people make. I took the APU power offline and killed the APU before I put the engine gens online, and that is bad. This is why we have checklists. But now we do have bleeds, and we will pressurize. And our packs are on auto. All of our pumps are on. Our start switches are where they should be. All of our heats are on, and now we can go. But boy, that was a pretty close call. I basically pulled the plug on the aircraft. All right, so there's our takeoff reference. There's our trim setting. Our flaps are set. Auto brakes are set. Our MCP is programmed. Our approach is clear, and we've been told to line up and wait. We do not arm the auto throttle till we take the runway for obvious reasons. And that obvious reason is so that we don't accidentally set them off. Yeah, we got double lines everywhere here. All right, so we'll line up and wait 1 second. Verify, heading select, altitude, autopilot off, flight director on, my priority, runway heading set, altimeter set, transponder set. Well, we're not communicating, so it doesn't really matter. And I believe we're good to go. So we'll arm the auto throttle, verify that it says armed, and it does. We will bring the power up and make sure that it ramps up evenly. And now we will set toga thrust. We'll make sure that it comes up to the line, and it does. Airspeed is alive, and it's 80. We'll relax our forward pressure.
V1 rotate.
Okay.
Positive marine.
All right. We'll adjust our trim just a little bit there. Fly the flight director. Oh, it's gusty today. Gear up. Okay, we'll trim down. Now let's see if it reduces thrust to climb power.
1,000.
Should roll back to climb in 1 second. It has not. All right, we'll clean up here. And it is still not. Get into level change. We'll bug up the speed. Yeah, it's very gusty. Okay, we'll bug up to 225. We'll bug up to 250. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, we'll clean up. Kill our master caution. And we'll wonder why that is doing that. It's because of a altitude constraint. Okay, we have switched to climb power. And in a moment, we will go LNAV and autopilot. And let's see how well it flies. Should be pitching for 250. It's a little bit brutal here. I should probably just have used vertical speed mode. See, it's hunting around right now. Well, here, let's do this because it's shitting the bed. Use a vertical speed mode. Climb a little bit faster. Clean up the gear. Disable the auto brakes. We'll hold 250, I'm sorry. We'll see how well it does hold 250. And we'll go into VNAV. Now let's see what it does with this. Okay, it's staying at climb power, which is what it should be doing. It is enunciating correctly, and we will take note, and we've been cleared up to our cruising altitude. Now we're coming into moisture and we're getting a little colder, so I'm going to turn on engine anti-ice in a second. Just verify that it's flying the way it should be flying, and it seems to be. Alright, we got low pressure here, and that's probably because we got nothing in the center tanks. I'm going to turn those pumps off. And just want to verify that the cabin is pressurizing, and it is. These come off, or they go to auto, and we will turn engine anti-ice on. Okay, bleeds are on, packs are on, plenty of duct pressure, and we're in the soup. And so far, so good. We'll switch this to engines. Look at our fuel quantities. We're not leaking. We'll square up our heading bug here. And we'll notice that our tailwind is already starting. Now, this may be a little bit slow for the cruise, but, well, we'll see how we get on. Okay, at FEPIT we should have 15,000 pounds of fuel. Looks like we're burning a little bit more than we thought. But that's okay, we've got plenty. We are looking good. We're 25 miles from FEPIT, and we're right on fuel burn schedule, so we're good. Now let's just see what the flight plan says we should be burning at FEPIT. If I could only read this. Where's the fuel portion of it? See, this is total time into the flight. Do we have a fuel burn? Well, let's see if we have it in the other flight plan. All right, let's see, FEPIT. Well, it's saying at FEPIT we should have 16.6. And we've got a little less than 16.6. And let's see, when we get on the Q3, we should have 14. And we get on the Q3 at FEPIT. We'll be close. We'll be close. Let's say 15, 16.6, no, 14. 14 at top of climb. We'll set standard altimeter. And standard on both sides. Good, our first officer is on the ball. All right, we are cooking with gas now. And we're out of clouds. We can turn off our engine anti-ice. And we can turn off the fasten seatbelt sign. And we can do our flight simmy thing, which is turn off our landing light. The least important thing in flight simming, and one of the least important things in real flying, unless you're flying at night, but the most important thing on YouTube So you notice the speed window is blank, and that's because we are in VNAV speed, which means we are following the speed on these legs pages here, 273, 273. And then when we get into the cruise, we will fly this speed. And other than that, we're pretty good. And the flight level we picked is pretty close to optimal for this airplane and this weight. So here we go. We'll get on the airway now. And we're moving. We are grooving. Just zoom out. There's our top of Klein. Between Fepet and Famak. And we're supposed to, at our top of Klein, have 14,000 pounds of fuel, and we should be pretty close. Turbine engines are more efficient at high altitude, in part because the air is cold, and cold air is good. In part because the air is thin, and it's not necessarily that engines burn better with the air being thin, but turbines, unlike piston engines, change their efficiency less with respect to altitude because they are giant air squeezing machines, basically. They squeeze the air so much that they can have extra to use for things like pressurizing the cabin and heating and cooling. So above a certain altitude, of course, turbojets or turbofans don't work that well because the air is just too thin. And at above certain speeds, they don't work very well either because supersonic air going into them gets unstable when you slow it down to burn. So above certain speeds, above certain altitudes, you might use what's called a ramjet, which is basically a jet without a compressor. It basically just uses the speed and the shape of the inlet to jam the air in and compress it. And beyond that, of course, you have to use a rocket engine because you have to provide your own oxidizer because there isn't enough oxygen. But you can fly a jet of one sort or another pretty close to 100,000 feet. It gets pretty hinky flying it. An SR-71 can fly in the 70, 80,000 foot range, and it can go at Mach 3, but it's a pretty terrifying thing if you wanted to fly it by hand, because the difference between going too fast and too slow is just a few knots. That's called the Coffin corner. The higher up you go, the thinner the air gets, and the less the margin is between going too fast and damaging the aircraft and going too slowly and falling out of the sky. So hand flying a U-2 or hand flying an SR-71 is quite a tricky thing. All right, we are making really good progress here. We are about 18 miles from our top of Klein, and we are bang on the fuel, so that's good. And you can see our actual navigational performance. We are accurate to within 4/100ths of a mile, which is pretty good. I have not tuned any nav aids in, but let us tune in our localizer here. I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but why the hell not? We could tune in a few other nav aids just to keep track along the way, but I trust the computer. So let's just first check our weather. Looks like the wind is now, yeah, okay, it's still from favoring the 2/8. We'll do ILS localizer and 111.7 and 284. That hasn't changed. Should know it by heart by now. Get that on both sides. We'll mess with our course in a second. Practice a little heading bug hygiene here. And you can see we've got much less in the way of tailwinds than we thought. I don't know whether that's X-plane or something else. So for instance, our true airspeed right now is, well, we're still climbing. We'll wait till we settle into our cruise before we do any calculations. Besides, I was told there would be no math. We are flying with standard X-plane weather and ortho 4XP scenery. So this is ortho down there, and very nicely done. Just see what kind of frames we're getting. Yeah, we're getting 30 frames, so it's not stellar. Yeah, you can see. Wonder what's up. Bet you we're using way too much VRAM. We're using a lot of VRAM, but not a ton. All right, well. No, we're not going to do that. But we are getting knocked around a little bit here. Notice that our indicated airspeed is going down as the air gets thinner, but our true airspeed is going up, because this is airspeed corrected for the thinness of the air. And here we come on our top of climb, and we got a little less fuel than we thought we would, and that's probably because we don't have the tailwind component that a flight planning software assumed. But here we go. And we'll settle into a cruise in a second. So there we are. We're at Mach 0.71. And we're going to be cruising at Mach 0.783. So we'll speed up just a little bit. And we should roll back on the power a little bit too. Well, it says cruise here, so cruise it is. But I've set a rather high cost index and high cruising speed, so it's going to be sort of firewalling it for a little while. Meantime, we'll just make sure our cabin is still safe, and it is. That all is fine. And actually we will turn on the seatbelt sign. See if that works. That again. Oh, I'm sad. I don't get to make a speech. Okay, sit the hell down, everybody. And that rattling noise is the plastic doggy duty jostling around in the cargo hold. I do not like the fact that I am losing frames here. That is probably Mount Shasta, but I'm not sure. Meantime, ooh, I really don't like this. And I don't understand why it's doing this. Probably because my Windows is updating or something fucking heinous. Let me just turn all this shit off. Yeah, let's not back things up now, please. All right, let's see if that helped. Let's see what else we can kill. Adobe Acrobat is notorious for eating up resources, so maybe that's it. Should write a whole book called Why I Hate Windows. We'll turn that off. We'll turn, I'll bet you is Windows updating itself? I'll bet you it is. No, it's not. Okay. God, I hate Windows. How do I turn it off? Turn that off. Turn that off. Yeah, shut up. Don't care. I know. I got it. Okay. Does that help? Not really. Okay, we'll kill that. Just exit Dropbox. Quit Backblaze. Quit the pernicious thing known as Microsoft OneDrive. Oh look, I can't quit. Isn't that nice? Quit this horse shit. Oh, it's syncing files. Everything is syncing files. Everything wants to keep all my files straight, and really don't want that happening. What else can I kill? Is Navigraph updating itself? No. Alright, I'm out of shit to kill here. Let's see, what's eating up my CPU? Okay, and that. All this crap. But nothing is taking up cycles. That. I'm just going to build a stripped down system just to fly. Good Lord. %40 CPU, so where the hell is that going? Yeah, X-plane, of course. Restart Windows Explorer. hell if I know. It also would be nice if this wouldn't move. Okay, don't need all this VMware shit going. I don't think any of this is doing it. Microsoft Office bullshit. Office bullshit. Where's OneDrive? Get rid of this. God, look at this crap. Get rid of that. Google bullshit. Dropbox update bullshit. God, look at this shit. Creative Cloud, get rid of that. Get rid of that. And that. And that. And it just keeps coming back. All right, one more reason never ever to use Windows. I've got pretty much no processes running. Oh, Cortana, go fuck yourself. I honestly do not know what is going on, but I'm just gonna get rid of all this shit. Well, we do what we can. It seems to be better. Yes, it is better. Yes, it's better. Good. All right, now we can go back to flying an airplane. And yeah, you can see our power is rolled back to a more sensible cruise setting. We are now cruising at Mach 0.78, which is fine. If I really wanted to save some fuel, I could just slow us down right here. Or I can use a canned economy setting or a canned long-range cruise setting, but I'm not gonna. Wouldn't be prudent. Get ready for our descent. All right, there's our TOD. Auto throttles are all over the place, and you can see we're not really getting the tailwind we thought we were going to get. We're just getting turbulence. Let's see if our weather radar works. So we're burning about 6,000 pounds an hour. And we got about 12,800 pounds, and we've got a whole lot less than an hour to fly, so we're good. And let's see, is this ortho or not? It's hard to tell at this altitude. It's good either way. I think it's still ortho. Drag required, so let's give it some. It's a little bit noisy. Let me move it to flight detent here. That's better. And we're coming back on profile. throttles are at, well, they should stay at idle. They shouldn't move up like that, but they do. We can do better ourselves than this is doing, but we'll just let it do its thing. See, now we're below the path here, and we really don't need drag now. Now we're below our target. And, you know, what we would do is we would set a saner sort of thing, and we wouldn't be rocking the throttles back and forth here. And I'm sure the real thing has got some algorithms in it to smooth that out so that it doesn't get quite as squirrely. See, we're sort of wandering above and below our path here. What we should do is we should intervene on a speed right here. Let's see how many miles we have to go until our 11,000 foot mark here. And we can hit those step downs ourselves. Let's see. We have to stay above 19,000 for another 11 miles. Yeah, now we're still high now. Now we're high instead of low. And we're fast, and we're going to have to slow down. But really, this should be in sort of a flight idle mode here, and we should just be managing this ourselves. But I want to see how well it flies it. But this is really not the way to fly the airplane. Ideally, we have to be above 19,000 feet. All right, I'm gonna let my anal retentive side take a rest here and just let it fly the way it's going to fly, because I just want to see how well it does. Otherwise, we would intervene. We would probably get into a vertical speed mode and... Okay, in another 19 miles, we have to be a lot lower than here. Be below 16,000 by lows it. So we got 5,000 feet to go, and we've got, we'll make it. We've got 16 miles to go. So let's see what our time to lows it is here. Our time to lows it is 2 minutes, and we're going down at 2,500 feet per minute. Yeah, we'll make it. It's a pretty harsh descent, but we'll make it. And we're right on path. Now watch, if I put out the speed brakes now to give it a little bit of help, to get down lower faster, well, you know what, then it'll just roll in the power, so screw that. All right, our local altimeter here is, let's see, we're close to Santa Rosa, is, where the hell is it? I can't read, 2985. So we'll set 2985, and that'll help us too, because it will show us 2985 there, and 2985 there, and all right, we're at 17, and how far to lows it? Another 5 miles. Another minute, so we will make it. Just barely, but we'll make it. But we're cooking our way down here. Okay, we have to be below 13 by Bodega, and Bodega is another, well, it's a minute away. And we will make that too, and it's really going to be fun. Spin our heading bug around here. See what our temps are like, +3. Turn on some engine anti-ice. Turn on our lights. See how badly our frames are now doing. They're not terrible. Alright, so there's VICU. That's where we would hold if we go missed, so the airport's right about there. We are on path. We're going to go past the airport. And, okay, our speed target has come down. Let's see if it wants drag. No. It's okay. And we will do a flaps 30 arrival. So 30 and 146. Plug that in. All right, so now our inbound course is 284. That's our runway. That is our frequency. We've already tuned it once and twice. Our approach course at 284 for when we switch over to the ILS. And set it twice. Should go the other way. All right, and now let us spin this down to our next floor, which is what, 7,000 at Archie. We're going to level off in a minute and slow down. Okay, 284 is set. Okay, landing altitude is set. Depressurizing nicely. Prepare for arrival. Seatbelt signs are on, lights are on. Turn the sparklers to continuous. Okay, 7,000 at Archie. And we'll see how this thing flies it. Okay, we've slowed down to below 250 or to 250. So that's correct. It's still having a hell of a time here. Sort of riding the throttles and tapping the brakes, but it's not horrible. So we've flown, or we're about to fly past the airport. Right there, we'll overfly. See if we can see anything. Nope. Let's see what our frames are like. They're pretty good. They're very good. It's when you're drawing both it seems to be bad. Alright, so 11 to bricks. Speed brakes are armed. Not sure about the enunciations here, but I guess we've switched over to the approach phase. I'm going to slow to 240. And we're going to stay fairly, you know what? My speeds just got screwed. All those speeds I put in there are screwed. So when it recycled for the approach, it reprogrammed these VNAV speeds, and that is not good. So let's see. At Archie, we'll go to 210 because that's way, way fast for Archie. Now let's see if it sticks. All right, that at least is reasonable. And 180 at Dumba. And let's see if that sticks. All right, and look at this. It's just going bonkers here. But here we go. Okay, we've got a new top of descent. So it doesn't really do a continuous descent. I'm not sure whether that's realistic or not, but it's fine because now we're going to start going down again. And there's our new speed set right there, 240, 240. Let's get San Francisco altimeter actually. Uh, 2982. Okay, 2982 once. Nope, come on, 2982 twice. Alright, close enough. And we are now, well, we're still cold, so I'm going to stick with the ye old engine anti-ice. And we'll decel here, right there actually. And then when we make the turn, it'll help us a little bit. Okay, we're back on profile, so that's good. So it flies it okay, but it gets a little funky with the auto throttles. Ah, damn, we broke out. Alright, that's San Jose Airport right there. Archie is, well, right about there. And this is pretty glorious high-def ortho. Let's see what our frames are like now. Yeah, they're kind of marginal. Now, we could vector ourselves here or something, but let's just see how it flies it. It's going to do a fly around right here. It's not going to go to Archie and then turn on a dime. It'll calculate a radius around it. It's just that it doesn't draw it very, very nicely here. I don't know how to designate a fly over waypoint, but I'm sure you can. I know you can on the real thing, but I'm guessing you can on this. Apart from that, we seem to be good. We'll, since we'll try to land pretty short, we'll set auto brakes 3, speed brakes armed, spark plugs continuous, landing lights on, and we'll spin this down to our next restriction, which is 3. Which is where we'll hope to intercept the glide slope. Okay, we're right on the money. Now let's see if we decel. At Archie, we should decel to 210. Now it's going to keep us at 240 right till the bloody end. Alright, so let's see how we do. So there's our bug is now down to that. Put in our first notch of flaps. And our second notch of flaps. As we turn over San Jose here. Not sure why we're bugged at 190. We designated 210 all the way to Gurr, but we seem to be slowing. And truth be told, that's okay. There are the salt flats. Quite beautiful. Now I'm just keeping an eye on the speed because we should not be going this slowly. And I am at a loss as to why. Okay, so we need to be above 6,000 to Xylid. And so far we are. That is gorgeous. I took some great pictures of this. Alright, so here we go. Okay, above 5,000 to Gurr. We're still above 6 as we should be. We still should be going 210. Alright, we can turn off our engine anti-ice. Been cleared to land. Actually, we probably wouldn't contact tower until just a little after this. Let's arm, well, let's not arm the VOR. Alright, we'll go flaps 5. When we hit Seepin, we will go flaps 15 and gear down. So this is not a brutal arrival. Now, I'm letting the autopilot fly this for now because I really want to see how the plane flies. And I'm also not sure why our bugged speed is now so slow. But that's fine. Ordinarily they'd say keep it above 180 to Seepin and above 160 to Aximal, which is pretty quick, but they want to move a lot of traffic through here. So we want to be 146 plus 5. So we want to be 151. All right, let's go VOR localizer. And that should capture. And it does. And in a second, we'll arm the approach. We're not going to be pedantic and follow it down to 3,000. We'll assume we've been cleared to... that we've been cleared to the approach by now. Aximal's at about the bridge. So we've got 3,000 as our floor, and that's where we're going to intercept the glide slope, and actually we should get pretty damn close here. Okay, we're a dot away. All right, we'll go gear down, flaps 15. And at this point, we will arm the approach. Note that it's armed. And at this point, we will intervene with the speed. Should be 151. Get fully configured. It's going to be flaps 30. That's a little bit violent on the auto throttles. You know, I think at some point we're just going to do this ourselves. And from experience, about 57 or 8% should do us. But let's see how it flies first. Got a little bit of a crosswind from the right. And from behind, you know what, we could fly the circling approach to the ones. That would be fun. There, you want to do that? Let's do that. So we will break off at Aximal, and then we're going to go around this way up to the hill. All right, so let's have some fun. This is a full-on circling approach here. All right, let's grab the altitude. Right about now. Altitude hold, come on. Altitude hold. It's not going to let us. All right. Take out the autopilot and circle. I know the wind really isn't enough to warrant this, but why the hell not? Take out the flight director too. This is just juvenile. That was not what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do was this. There we go. Out comes the flight director. In comes our eyeballs. Now, it's been a long time since I've done this. And it's sort of better to do it from the right seat. Just get myself trimmed out a little bit here. Okay. They fly this approach unbelievably rarely, but they do fly it. All right, this could get really ugly really quick.
1,000 feet stabilized, Mr. Birch, altitude set.
Yeah, stabilized my ass. Now we'll take out the auto throttle. The other thing we'll do is inhibit that. Okay, we're going for 28 left. And And this is the way they fly it, which is insane. There we go. But I'm fast. There we go. Come on. Well, like I said, it could get ugly.
80 knots.
But here we are. Have to have a little bit of fun. And that was a little fun, but it was a little bit unstable, or a lot unstable. But there are pictures on airliners.net of 777s doing that. And it mainly only happens when there's an enormous amount of wind coming from across the bay. It's really the only time you would do that, and I'm sure certain crews will simply refuse that because it's not something I'd want to do if I did not know what I was doing. Turn on the APU and let's see what that arrival looked like. I'm sure it didn't look good. I was a little low here and a little fast, so let's see, from the tower, there we go. Ah, look at that, that's perfect. Okay, so here we go. Round we come. All right, I underturned there and I overshot, you can see. I'm gonna work to bring it in, and the only way I could have brought it in was with that extra speed. If I didn't have that extra speed, I would have started sinking like crazy. So, but you can see how nose down I am, and that's because I'm going too fast. And we're still a little high, and it's not the longest runway in the world. But heavens to Murgatroyd, that was fun. Yep. I under-rotated, then yanked it back to compensate. All right, let's see what it looked like from the ground up. Right about there. That's fun. Okay, let's see, right about there, right on numbers. Yeah, you see, I overcooked it, and I'm a little low. So let's see. I'm not grotesquely unstable there. That looks kind of nice. Or as my old friend Hal would say, that looks nice. That's just like it looks in the pictures. Yeah. Now I get a little hitch in my giddy up there. Look at that. Now watch this little stutter step on the flare. I should just hold that picture, but I let my nose come down. It fell out of the sky. All right, once more with feeling. Only this time from the cockpit. Relive those thrilling days of yesteryear. There we go. Alright, see what I mean? See, I'm going about 10 knots fast here. And I'm going to touch down right about there, which is a bozo no-no. And on that note, I think I'll leave you with what is it's a pretty good plane, and it's finally kind of coming into focus, I guess. Except these should go down in the replay because I certainly stowed them. Oh well.